The Naturalist role within Red Dead Online is not the most luxurious role. It doesn't have the best content, and some may even argue that it's actually annoying. But despite this, it still plays an essential part within progressing through Red Dead Online. So in today's video, we are going to be going through the only guide that you need. For you to get started within the Naturalist, you will need to head over to Strawberry, and upon entering the Strawberry Hotel, a cutscene will play. This is where you'll be introduced to Harriet Davenport for the very first time, which is the character behind the Naturalist. Plus, on top of this, you'll also meet Gus McMillan, who is behind the Trapper. Now, the Trapper isn't a separate role, it's its own store, but it does somewhat link to the Naturalist as there is some crossover. Once the cutscene ends, you'll be given the option to spend 25 gold bars, unless you're doing this when there is a discount available, but more or less you're going to have to spend 25 gold bars in order for you to get a sample kit. It's at that point where you'll be knocked out, and then the cutscene is over, where you'll spawn back into free roam just around the corner from Strawberry. And this is all the help Rockstar will give you. You've now entered the Naturalist role, but it's up to you to figure it out for yourself. And it's at this point where things somewhat become a bit of a grind. As you have only just started the Naturalist and you're rank 1, you have a very limited amount of things that you're able to do. For you to get into the somewhat good content, it requires you to be rank 5. So for the initial beginning of this role, what you need to do is head over to a good hunting location, find medium to large animals, and sedate as many as possible. You just need to sedate and sample, where you'll take those samples over to a location where Harriet is located, and you can sell those samples. By sedating an animal, you will be able to get XP, not a lot though, and upon the completion of that transaction with Harriet, you'll get additional XP on top. The main goal right at the beginning is for you to complete different animal categories. These categories work very similar to collection sets, in that with collection sets you need to find one of each collectible. With the animal categories, what you need to do is sedate and sample each animal and sell those samples to Harriet. Upon selling them to Harriet, she will stamp your animal field book. Once you get all animals stamped within a category, then you can trade that in for more money and more XP. The easiest one for you to go through is the farmlands right at the beginning. Most of it requires you to go to the different farms within the Heartlands and just keep on going back and forth, sedating all the animals that are there, taking their samples and heading back over to Harriet. This will be done in no time, but it is a very boring grind. The other thing that you can do at this point is hunt legendary animals, but there is a slight problem with this. Legendary animals have a bit of a multiplier, and there's several which brings them to their overall chance of being able to spawn in. For example, not only do you just need to be in the right location, but there's also a multiplier based on if it's the right time of day and also the right weather. Even if all of those are perfect, it's still not guaranteed that a legendary animal will spawn in, because it also reflects your level as a naturalist. A myth about this role is that you need to enter into the Naturalist in order for you to get legendary animals. You don't. Legendary animals are available from the moment you start Red Dead Online and you're put into free roam, but they have an increased chance of being able to spawn in with your Naturalist level. The higher your level, the higher the chance. So the best way that you can get a legendary animal to spawn in is to be in the right location, have the right time of day, have the correct weather, and also be the highest level as a Naturalist. And even then, that's still only a chance. It's just a higher chance than if you try to do this with any of those previous requirements missing. That's why when initially first starting, the best thing that you can focus on is the normal animal categories. They're extremely easy to go through, but they're just very boring and still a bit of a grind. Once you reach rank 5, you will now unlock missions from Harriet. This will be Poacher Missions, and these are very similar to what you have with the Moonshiner with Bootlegger missions. They're in free roam, and you'll need to go and do a certain activity which takes about 5 minutes to complete. Once completed, you'll get a couple hundred XP, and that's about it. But the big missions themselves are legendary animal missions. With legendary animal missions, it's exactly what it sounds like. You get to go and hunt a legendary animal. But as you are rank 5, you'll only be able to do one of these every 50 minutes. As you rank up to rank 10 and rank 15, you'll be able to do 2 every 50 minutes and then eventually 3 every 50 minutes. Once the 50 minutes are up, or a full Red Dead Online day, that is when they reset and you'll get another 3. When you go into these missions, it will tell you to sedate and sample the animal, but you don't need to. You can actually kill and skin it, and depending on what you're trying to do will depend on the approach you're trying to take. For example, once you kill and skin the legendary animal, you will leave that mission with animal parts as well as the pelt. This is where you can take it over to cribs and donate to your trader business, and instead of adding just a couple materials here or there based on what you would get from other animals, with legendary animals they could give anywhere between 38 to 60 depending on what that animal is. A very good way for you to progress through the trader. The other option that you can do is actually take this over to Gus McMillan. Remember, at the beginning I said that the trapper also falls under the naturalist. It's not its own separate role, so you can hunt these legendary animals, take it over to Gus, donate it to him, where you'll be able to get money out of it, plus on top of that you'll unlock a garment which you can then buy into to customize your character. But unfortunately, even though the trapper is still linked to the naturalist, if you go and do anything with Gus, it doesn't do anything to your level as a naturalist. This means that the best thing for you to do to progress the naturalist right at the beginning is just sedate and sample the animal. It's not what everyone wants to do, but this is going to be the only way in which you'll get XP. You'll get XP from the mission itself, plus on top of that you can then sell that sample to Harriet, where she'll give you additional XP on top, and just like any other animal within the game, she will also stamp the animal field book, but this time it'll be under the legendary animal categories, where eventually you'll go through all legendary animals within that category to then send that in for more money and more XP. From this point you need to keep this loop going. Go through legendary animals, sedate, sample. Once that mission is over, go into a poacher mission which will give you additional XP, and whilst you're waiting for both of these to reset, you just need to sedate and sample every animal that you see within free roam. This is more or less the grind that you need to go through in order for you to hit that maximum rank 20. As you increase your rank, it gets easier and easier as you unlock more legendary animals. Now, there are a few things that you could do on top of this which will give you a bit more XP, but it's only worth doing if you have the money to do so. As part of the naturalist role, you'll also have some pamphlets which are available as unlocks. Most of these pamphlets are not worth buying into, but if you do have a lot of money within this game, you might as well buy into all of them just because you can use them to get a little bit of extra XP. What I mean by this is, if you were to look at the animal reviver, when you sedate and sample an animal, you could just leave that animal and eventually that sedative will wear off and it will get up and just run away. But you can also instantly revive that animal. It's a complete waste for most players, but if you are trying to progress through the naturalist, it will give you additional XP, plus on top of that it also progresses through a few different awards. As you are trying to rank up, every little bit of XP can be helpful. And as you are sedating and sampling a lot of animals in the first place in order for you to rank up, you could go and buy into this animal reviver pamphlet so that you can get additional XP on top as you revive the animals. And then once you have completed the awards, you can reset them, which will give you gold and also yet again a bit more XP. But this time that XP doesn't apply to the naturalist, it just applies to your character's level. Now if you are already rank 20 and you're going through this is a complete waste. The XP doesn't even matter anymore because you're already max rank. This is only for those that are trying to get through this role as quickly as possible and they have a lot of money. For 99% of players that go through the naturalist within Red Dead Online, they simply complete it for the sake of completing it. It's not the most entertaining role within the game, it certainly hasn't got any special missions. The legendary animal missions themselves can be pretty good. There's 3 or 4 variations for every single animal, and there's quite a lot of animals available. But it's just the process of being a naturalist which isn't the fun part of it. Most people just enjoy hunting, so once they get to max rank 20 within the naturalist, It's the case of using the Naturalist role to get as many legendary animals as possible in order to throw them through the trader business. The best way in which you can progress through the trader is to use legendary animals. If you can get yourself a hunting wagon, once the mission for your legendary animal has finished, you're able to throw that pelt in the back of the hunting wagon and it saves it. You can store 5 pelts in here until it maxes out, but all you need is 1 or 2 pelts to fill up the trader to be the max it can possibly be in terms of materials. And that's what most people go for. The final thing to talk about for the Naturalist is some of the role unlocks. Now we've already talked about the pamphlets, which you can buy into to get additional XP as well as complete awards if you have the money to do so. If you don't have the money, don't bother. But there's 2 other unlocks which are certainly worth going through. The first one is the Wilderness Camp. It costs $750 but is worth it. Now of course you do already have your main camp, but the Wilderness Camp is just something that can be called in and spawned in at any location. You can find your Wilderness Camp within your items wheel. And upon selecting it, your screen will fade to black, and as you come back in, you're already there. You're using your Wilderness Camp. You can use this to craft goods, cook goods, as well as being able to fast travel to your main camp if you really want to, or any other location that is on offer for you to fast travel to. It definitely makes things more efficient, and for that, I think it's worth buying into. The other one is the rank 20 Gypsy Cob Horse. This costs $950, but just like every role within the game, the rank 20 horses are the best horses. You can use a Nacogdoches saddle and hooded stirrups on this, and once you get the role horse to level 4 bonding, there will be some stats which max out. Yet again, making life extremely efficient for you because you'll be able to get to places a lot quicker without draining your horse's stamina. Your horse's stamina will drain, but every now and then you can press the left analog stick in and you'll regen. It will always be at its max. The rest of the unlocks are entirely up to you. But anyway guys, this is the only guide that you need within the Naturalist role for Red Dead Online. If you do have any questions, then please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. And if you want a more in-depth guide on how you can use this alongside the Naturalist, then that video is up next. Within that video, we'll show you exactly how you can go through step by step the trader role to get it to its max rank and making the most amount of money. And as said, the Naturalist also links into it. So that video is now on screen. If you do want to see it, click that and we'll be over there to guide you through step by step.